It's always quite intriguing fishing the new water, and this time I'm down in a water in Shropshire it's a kind of old, deep, silty mere. I'm told it's about 20 foot deep in the middle, and I'd say it's about 5 or 6 acres. It's quite an interesting place, quite picturesque and quiet, so it's a lovely place to spend a couple of days. I got down here this morning, an old friend of mine that I used to work with quite a few years ago in a different job had an absolute cracking fish in the sling. It was a thick set, dark mirror, absolutely stunning fish with a big sort of bite mark scale on one side and quite a few scales near the tail. So it was a proper stunning fish. And it's always great when you get down to a lake that you've never fished before, that you don't really know a great deal about, to see, you know, a mid-30 on the bank, you know, an absolute stunner. So I was really, really pleased to see that, and so were the rest of the guys that I was with, and it's always nice to see something to get you fired up. After we did a few stills in the mid-30, we walked around the lake kind of debating where to fish ourselves, and we looked across and saw Simon into another fish, so we nipped back round, and sure enough he'd just netted a mid-20, but this one was an absolute cracking zip linear. Really nice fish as well, and it's great to see a couple of stunning fish on a lake that you know, I literally just turned up on. So we did a draw for swims, and Mark's dropped in a swim just behind me. I'm probably sort of central part of the lake that controls a little bit of the far side there. There's kind of an island and a bank that you can fish, but you need the boat to get across there. And then Richard's down there a little bit further down the bank. So I'm hoping between us we're covering a decent stretch of water, and we can probably bank a fish for ourselves. I've got the rods out because I'm fishing the far bank and it's a tricky old cast. I got the rods out with the boat. It's just a little bit easier, and you can get bait a lot more accurate, and I can create a better spread of boilers. I can see in the margins here there's a lot of roach around, and I'm told there's 1 or 2 tension here as well. So I didn't want to go with a particle approach, and I didn't want to attract too much attention of the small fish, so I really wanted to go in with the mainly boilie approach. I did crumb the odd bait up, but not too many. So I've sort of baited an area probably the size of 2 or 3 bivvies, and just put 2 rods on that spot. One on a critically balanced bottom bait, one on a bit of a runny rig, my adaptation of a runny rig, just fishing a little bit of a pop-up. So one is kind of on quite a firm bit of ground. It felt like gravel initially, but I'm told by one of the locals it was probably a mussel bed. So I've got one rod on a mussel bed and one rod just off it on a bit of smooth silt, but when the lead cracks down, it really does crack down. So it seems to me it's an area that's probably fed on, and you know, as we're talking about silty mere area, a lot of the bottom is reasonably soft. So to find an area of firm silt really does give me a fair bit of confidence. So I've got 2 rods out there on the far bank in about 7 or 8 foot of water, which is what I like to fish in at this time of year. I have risked it a bit and put the right hand rod in the central part of the lake in about 20 foot of water, because a few of the regulars said that they do come out at the central depths, and you can see 4 aerators dotted around the lake to stop any sort of oxygen issues and oxygen crashes. And from owning a koi pond back home, I know what that does. It brings the water up from the bottom and spreads it out through the top and creates sort of like a pluming. So normally at this time of year I tend to avoid anything above sort of 15, 16, 18 foot, but being as the water is being circulated by the aerators, I think that there might be an equal amount of water to temperature from the bottom to the top. So I've got a rod not too far away from an aerator, just past it a little bit in some quite deep water. So I'm edging my bets a little bit. 2 on the far bank where I've got a gut feeling that could be the area that produces, but you know, one in the deeper water, just in case they're up and down, especially in the night and first thing in the morning. So yeah, I'll hopefully going to get one. Like I say, Mark's behind me and Richard's just up the bank there, so we've got a decent spread and got half a chance of getting a bite. I was just having a cup of tea with Mark in the next swim, and I've had 3 beeps on this long rod, all up tight, and as I got to the rod, it all just dropped slack all the way to the bottom without the clip and everything. Lead's gone. I've got a multi-rig and it's pulled right up tight. So that was a take. That was an aborted take. So I was literally on it within seconds of it going because the swim's only just there. But obviously it took a bit of line, pulled the rig right way down, enough to eject the lead, but no fish on the end. How annoying is that? So I've got one rod left in the area. Now the question is, do I leave this and give this another couple of hours, or do I get this rod back on the spot? It's a difficult cast to make, especially with a rig such as this, because it's quite a supple braid. So I've been getting the rods out with a boat, so I don't know the answer to the question. I might give it an hour, have a look at this rig, probably put a fresh rig on, put a fresh bait on, get a marker rod back out there and do it again. But that was definitely a take, and this rod is right in the zone, so yeah, very annoying. But at least I got a bite, which is quite good, because I didn't think I'd get a bite in this sort of weather. You know, it's bright sunshine, flat calm conditions, and I'm fishing at about 9 foot of water, so I thought most of the fish would be in the top 2 foot, but obviously something's still feeding, but I didn't land it.
So rods are out for the night. I've gone long with my right hand rod because there's been some fish showing over towards the far bank. Put tigers on that because it's water's so clear at the moment, so I'm hoping that's a little bit less blatant on the bottom. Yeah, and I'm happy with the spot, so to be honest I'm just going to leave it there now. There has been a few fish showing. And so long as they don't move for the night, then I'm actually pretty confident now. So we'll see what happens.
So I've come up to this lovely lake in Shropshire. I came here once before as a guest, and given the opportunity again, I couldn't wait to get back up here. So I've joined the lads. They've been up here for a couple of days. Hasn't been fishing particularly well, but Simon, that was here previously, has had a couple of bites out of this swim. And I decided, well, we're here for one night. Where better to have a go than where somebody's doing okay. So I've chucked the rods out. We're going to have a little go in a little while, have a look around. Some great opportunities for some stalking on here, so we'll get to have a little go with the new element rods and put them through their paces, and fingers crossed we can manage to winkle out one or two or more.
What a cracking fish this is, so chuffed with this. Bait's been out there on the spot now for 26, 27 hours I think. And this little beauty's just saved the blank for me. Alright, so this was over towards the far side on a double tiger nut, just popped up slightly from the bottom with a handful of tigers around it. It's been sitting out there since yesterday afternoon, and to be honest I was just about to wind it in and recast it, so very happy with that. This was the second fish off the same spot, and this was a recast, so there's actually no bait around it, so it was really a single tiger nut out at about 90 yards. And I wasn't that confident really in expecting it to go, so I'm really chuffed with that. Another lovely little fish, just 22. Very happy with that. Stunning tail on it as well. Just coming to the end of the session now. So it's two fish that I've had off the same spot. Both come on tigers. And we noticed that the lake is absolutely alive at the minute, full of caddis. So maybe the tigers are working because they're pretty similar really in size, and nice and crunchy as well. But yeah, we've had a good session. Very pleased with the two fish that I've had, because it's not fished tremendously well. And a bit of a surprise really to get that second one on a single tiger nut chucked out there. So it's been a great session, really nice time. And I've had my first fish of the year as well, so I'm very happy with that. Yeah, fishing a lovely lake, and I hope to be back here soon.
It's nearly pack up time now, and unfortunately no fish for me. There has been a few bites, there's been quite a few fish out actually. It's from what the regulars are telling me, it's not an easy water. But there has been a good few bites. John had one this morning in the next swim to me. He's one of the regulars down here. Richard's obviously had two fish from across there, so that's cracking. And then Simon's fish from early on crossing the other swim. So it seems like all the fish have been sort of from that end of the lake, and not a great deal down here. I mean, Mark was fishing just behind me. He didn't have any joy whatsoever, although he did have a little bit of fun in a boat. He was trying to put his rigs out on the far bank across there, and leant a little bit too far to one side and nearly went over, which was quite funny. So even though I've not been bang on the fish, I really felt I should have caught from this one. There was a couple of fish kicking out there last night. I've obviously had that aborted take, but I think all in all, due to that aborted take, I think I probably put a bit too much bait in for the time of year. The water temperature is still quite cold now, even though it is toward the end of April, and I just don't think the fish are really feeding that hard. And a majority of the fish that have been caught on tigers. So going in with a boilie approach and using sort of 5 kilo of boilie probably was a little bit too much for the situation. So I've made mistakes, and you've got to learn from these mistakes when you go fishing, but it's just been nice to get out with a few of the lads from the office and talk about plans going forward with Prologic. And it's been great to see these fish on the bank. You know, John's 21 was an absolute stunner. Richard's two fish were quite nice, especially that one last night. That was so thick across the back. You know, I think that'll make a big fish in the future. Shame Jamie didn't catch. You know, he tried, but quite often is the case when a certain swim's done a couple of fish, somebody drops in after it, it doesn't really live up to that promise. But all in all, it was great to get out, great to see a few fish on the bank. You know, that 35 that Simon had when we got here was an absolute stunner. So this is a stunning little lake, and it's been a nice place to spend a couple of nights fishing. And all in all, it's been a good little session. I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll be invited back down here soon.